Well, here we are, once again, Clarky's Reviews with more bags. When I started this channel I did it for a bit of fun because I'd just bought 2 brand new suitcases, and I like to think I got some decent well made kit, and for that I paid maybe a bit more than what I wanted to. So I've got these 2 really nice suitcases, one for my wife, one for me. And what do I find? Got to be doing a couple of trips in the next few months, and the suitcases are no bloody good whatsoever. So, dilemma, I need something different. Now you may wonder what's wrong with the suitcases. Well, what's wrong with the suitcases is that they open in half like that. So when you've opened them, they take up about this much space. So what's wrong with that? Right, what's wrong with that is if you're living out of a vehicle or on a small yacht, there isn't the space to open them like that. So I'll be living out of a vehicle for several weeks, and the back seat will probably be the place where the bags are going. When I say vehicle, I'm talking about a 4x4 pickup, something like your Nissan Navara or your Toyota Hilux. So the back of the pickup will be full of gear, camping gear, and to access our luggage we really need to have somewhere flat surface where we can just get in from the top. So obviously on the back seat of a car, or pickup in this case, you're not going to have the room to open up the suitcase every time you want something. And the same on a yacht. You get a very tiny cabin and there just isn't the room for opening up big suitcases. Again, you want a bag like this, so we're talking top loading here. Now, having bought the nice suitcases, and I'm not doing trips where I require a bag like this very often, so I didn't want to spend any money. So what I'm looking at is trying to keep the price down to about £50. Now for £50 you're not going to get much, and you would not believe how difficult it was to find the ideal shape and size bag. This is the OEX 70 litre wheeled duffel, and you can only get them from Go Outdoors. So we're talking a UK brand here. Go Outdoors, big outdoor shops selling everything you need for camping and stuff for your caravan as well, a little bit cycling and fishing. But these particular bags were hard to find as well. I was lucky that I happened to find a store that had one in stock. It does say you can order them from 3 to 5 days. This is their own brand, and they go from about 40 litres to 90. Strangely enough, the bigger ones, the 90 and the 120 litre, don't come with wheels on, so you've got to have muscles, which I don't. So I needed something with wheels on. It's like when I go sailing, I have a really nice Musto bag, but it's no good for dragging around airports because there's no wheels. You've got to be one of these bronze tanned sort of fellas, you know, that slings it over the shoulder and marches around looking pretty fit. Anyway, back to this thing. So eventually I managed to find this one at 70 litres, and I say it's cheap. Well, I'm assuming that something about it's cheap, but it doesn't actually feel that cheap. It's got a water resistant fabric coating, but it has all the things that I want. It's got the grab handles, picking it up, and it's just one simple compartment. You can get a lot of these bags that have got a zip round here, and again it opens up into 2 compartments. No good to me. This didn't come in a box or anything. Like I said, I picked it up off the shelf in the store. First thing I noticed, which I want, is it's got compression straps, so you can reduce the size of the bag if you just want it for a weekend or something like that, where it's just taking a few bits with you. It also has these straps to go over the top, which you can pull tight to secure the top. Now I should point out there is no real locking mechanism on here, so let's just pull the zip around here and have a look. So security wise they're not brilliant. All you've got is these two little zips here which have a hole in the top which you can probably get a padlock in. It's not ideal, but we're talking budget here. This is about as basic as you can get, but I was very surprised it came with these straps and compression straps. So the wheels don't feel anything special. The handle slides out quite smooth actually. It feels reasonable for something of this price. Underneath you've got your skids here to protect your bag. Now I have seen criticism with these type of bags saying, oh, it's not very supportive, you know, it doesn't have a lining. Well, let's take a look inside here. This does have a bottom lining and it's got a zip which you can open, close. I'm not sure why. And it's just one nice carnivorous compartment. The zip itself, I've just opened that as you've seen, it seemed to slide okay. For this price, about £50, there's got to be a catch. There's got to be something that's not very good. I mean, got a little compartment here just for bits and pieces. So I'm thinking that the compromise is going to be in the quality of the zips, the roller mechanism, the handle. Everything will have been pared down to the basic materials and the basic stitching probably, but it only has to do me the odd trip every now and then. So we're going to take this away, give it a go and see how it performs. Now it says that this bag will carry 25 kilos, which if you're travelling abroad you won't be going to that anyway unless you're prepared to pay. So the normal sort of limit on airlines these days, a lot of them anyway, is 20 kilos. So you'd be looking at putting in there about 16.5 kilos because the bag itself weighs 3.6, something like that. So it should be enough. I'm talking about using this for a 1 week holiday and a 3.5 week holiday. So got to be able to get quite a bit of stuff in there, but not too much, otherwise you're going to be struggling with the weight. Well, we made it from home, we're at the airport and the two bags are still in one piece. Fingers crossed. Let's go take a look to see where we're going. What we're looking for is one that says Frankfurt. Yeah, there we are, 1630 LH. I hate it when they change like that, just when you're reading them. Anyway, that's where we're going. Well, that wouldn't be that interesting, would it? I've been to Frankfurt before. So, when we get there, we'll have a look and see where we're going next. So as you saw from that graphic, we're not in Frankfurt. I'm not saying Frankfurt's not very interesting, but this is more interesting. Namibia. And we'll have a look and see why I bought those 2 bags. Take a look at the packaging arrangements here. Now, back of the vehicle, we've got pretty well stocked up with camping gear. We can get the bags in, but we don't want to be lifting them in and out. So I needed something that would fit on the back seat. So let's take a look at the back seat. It's exciting, this, isn't it? So at the moment we've got one of the bags on the seat here. The other bag is just over there somewhere. My wife's faffing in there looking for her underwear or something like that. But just to show you the principle of why I couldn't bring the suitcases. So this is the solution. There's only 2 of us. The back of the vehicle is free. The rear seating, that is. So all I needed was 2 bags that would fit. I was also a little bit restricted on which bags I bought because, being the bit of an anorak I am, I went and got the dimensions, internal dimensions of a Toyota Hilux, and I wanted 2 bags that would fit across the back seats and still be able to close the doors. So it sort of limited the choice in that aspect. But as you can see, open the bag up, we've got access into all our stuff here, easy peasy, put it back, and if we have to leave the vehicle, we will just zip this up and dump it on top of all the stuff in the back for security. So all in all, it's a practical solution, and the question is, will these relatively cheap bags stand up to the 3.5 weeks excuse me, to the 3.5 weeks trekking around Namibia, not to mention the 2 flights to get us back home afterwards. We shall see. So it's back, the OEX bag, and I say it's back, that's because I've been waiting 3 days for it. So it's had a little bit more travel than intended. That's because it became separated somehow from me on the flight from Windhoek to Frankfurt to Heathrow, and there's nothing more demoralising than standing staring at a carousel going round and round and round, and everybody's taking their bags except you, and in the end you still stood there looking at it going round and round and no bag. Anyway, we won't go into that, but it's arrived. And has it arrived in one piece? Not exactly. It's been opened, and I'm assuming it's customs because it was an unaccompanied bag. And this is where, as I've mentioned in previous videos, how important it is with your normal luggage to have a TSA lock, which the customs are able to unlock with their own special key. This type of bag doesn't generally have a TSA lock fitted. So what they've done, if you come in a little bit closer, I'll show you, they've snapped this ring that I put the padlock through. I mean, it was never going to be secure from anybody who really wanted to get into it. It was just to deter people from opening it. Anyway, so that is absolutely useless for using for my padlock in the future. But I'm not too worried because I ain't going to be using this bag much. It's a one-off, maybe to use an odd time. And I talked about the price in the beginning. I will now point out that this, if providing you've got a members card at Go Outdoors, this bag has now gone up to £70. So it's not the economic one that I talked about earlier, more expensive now. But I can see why it is. it's got some good features. Apart from the handles, it's got the two grab handles here, which is essential when you're moving stuff from vehicle to vehicle. Instead of having to, you pick something up like this and you're putting a strain on your back. If you've got it there, you've got a good firm grip and you've got the weight just where you want it to keep your body from hurting itself. It also had these straps which enable you to reduce it down to a size you might need if you're not going to completely fill it. The handle, now when I did this earlier in the video, that didn't quite lock in properly and I was a bit concerned, but since we've been using it, it's proved to be no problem at all. Now there is one thing I do have some concerns about on this. The wheels. If you come in a bit closer and have a look, you'll see that this wheel has very little play in it. And this wheel has quite a lot. Now I'm not 100% sure if it weren't like that when I started, but I would say that if you were to use one of these quite a lot, the wheels could be a weak point. Not saying it is, I'm just saying my observations now having brought it back. Bearing in mind that this has done a little bit more travelling, because once it finally made it back to Heathrow, it then was picked up by the baggage people. They then passed it on to the couriers that the airport used for lost baggage. They then passed it on to DHL, who then toured it around our local area where I couldn't be in to collect it, and I then ended up going to their depot and picking it up. So it's had quite a lot of manhandling and travel just for one trip. So overall, I'm really happy with this bag. When we had a shower as well, it's like water resistant material and things stayed dry. And I would definitely recommend this. Overall, 4.5 out of 5. It's done its job and I'm happy with it. Oh, I should point out the reason I emptied it before I showed you it was I needed to get in as quickly as possible to see if there was some money in there. And that's because on my last night in a very nice expensive hotel in Windhoek, somebody came into the room and stole the equivalent of about £130 off me. We never got to the bottom of it. We had to leave for the flight, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But I had to get everything out and inspect everything to make 100% sure that it wasn't me that had made a mistake, but it wasn't. The money has gone. So, it's a good job that I haven't had to spend a lot of money on this, because when I'm just giving it away to your local criminals in Namibia, I can't afford to be buying expensive items. So this one, even at £70, I would have bought it because it's a nice sized bag, quite sturdy, and like I say, my only concern is the wheels. So there we have it. OEX, own brand of go outdoors, and for what I wanted for it, did the job.